You know, today's show could be a little controversial. I get that. Controversial for many reasons. I know we just had the brand new Superman trailer that came out. Don't worry, I'll talk about it. I'll touch on the controversies and the sort of toxicity surrounding it, but we'll address those eventually. But only just that, I'm also predicting the college football playoff just past round one, the round one stuff I predicted this week. I'm predicting the entire bracket. I'm giving you a national champion. Much to the chagrin for me, I was not going to do this, but I decided, you know what, everyone else is doing it. The playoffs start tomorrow. Indiana, Notre Dame, little in-state rivalry, sort of. Figured why not just go ahead and do it. Of course, I'll also be giving you guys my thoughts on the transfer portal. Some trouble going on at USC. What's up with that? And give my thoughts on the Superman trailer and the toxicity surrounding it. And of course, we'll wrap it up with Buccaneers and Dallas prediction as well. So I hope you guys join in. If you're new here, first of all, welcome in. I know it's going to be a little crazy the next few weeks if you're here. Of course, the playoffs go on and the bowl games and stuff. We will not be doing live shows next week and some of the week after. We'll see about the week after. Definitely not next week because I won't be here. I'm in the studio. But be sure to follow me on Twitter because I can give you my initial reactions to some of the games and whatnot, my initial thoughts on there and my commentary and stuff. So follow me on Twitter at VortBirds_pod if you can find me. During the break, we will also be doing some interesting individual videos. I'll start doing those tomorrow. Some of them I won't do a whole lot. I'll do just a few individual videos, sort of like evergreen videos. So you can watch them whenever. So you can watch the videos I've put out at various times next week to premiere. You can watch those on October 13th next year, or during the summer, spring, or whatever, fall. Doesn't matter. More evergreen type topics. I think I'll do those to supplement those shows being around for about a week and a half. So you can look forward to that. A little Christmas present, but we'll be back for a little bit, hopefully that week after next week, but the week after New Year's or the week of New Year's, that Thursday, Friday. And then the regular season for the NFL comes around. We'll be going to the Buccaneers game, Buccaneers Saints game. So it's going to be a very active week. So again, if you're new here, welcome, Ed. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed, YouTube channel, like the stream. I know there's a few of you guys in here. A couple of you guys, you put in your hometowns, even though I don't ask you for that, like some shows do. But supposedly have Powell, Wyoming checking in, Atlanta, Georgia, Jasper, Indiana, and Tallahassee, Florida from Augusta Malzahn account. Don't think that's actually really him, but well, according to him, that is him. I did a poll too, by the way, on YouTube. Real quick here before we get into the main show. This is a little scientific poll saying, out of all of you who are watching the stream right now, did you like the stream? It's a little scientific poll, nothing wrong with being a little scientific as someone who is a fan of the atmospheric science. Even though I didn't study it in college, but I've always been a fan of it since I was a little kid. So going a little scientific here, did the whole, did you like the stream? 70% of you said, yes, you did, while 25% of you said no. And that 25%, like I said in the chat here, if listening to this live doesn't, or if you're not listening to this live, you're just watching the replay or on Spotify, the 4 or 5 people who watch this, to those 25%, you will be you'll be the ones who get to take out the papers in the trash. I will just say that. Tongue-in-cheek there, but put that in the chat as well. So yeah, make sure you guys like the streams, comment as well. I've seen a very active live chat here today. So yeah, let's get into this here. Let's actually dive in, if you will, to my plot predictions. So I predicted the first round of the playoffs back on Tuesday. I gave you guys my initial thoughts on round one. That's not changing. So if you need a refresher on those, on who I actually picked and how that went down, as I pull up the PDF. Let's have Clemson winning the Texas game. Shocker. I still think some people are doubting Dabo Swinney, but that's okay. I know some of you guys cringe at that, but whatever. So Clemson winning their game against Texas in Austin. Tennessee losing to Ohio State. So Ohio State moving on. They will have the sequel to the Oregon game. They'll play again. That game is in Pasadena. The other one is in Atlanta. So Arizona State, Louis Cabo and company. SMU, Penn State. Penn State moves on. It's not changing, so they'll play Boise and the Fairfield Fiesta Bowl. It's still a bowl game, I believe. The Broncos have had success in, so how about that? So as Penn State too. Last Sunday are there as well. And Notre Dame dispatching Indiana, and they'll play Georgia. So after all that, the round one games on campus, then we'll get into the New Year's Six stuff. I actually have Arizona State beating Clemson. I think Arizona State is one of the hottest teams in the country. Do they match up perfectly with Clemson? No, they do not. But this is college football. College football gets a little weird sometimes, not the NFL, where it's more industrialized and professionalized. And yes, the outcomes can be a little bit more strange as well. But I think Arizona State, momentum is such a weird thing with some of these teams like Arizona State and Penn State, to a certain extent, Georgia's like this right now, where these teams with momentum are the teams you have to watch. And Arizona State, after beating BYU, having just splattering Iowa State, Bo Scatterbill is one of the best running backs in the country. Kenny Dillingham, a rising star and head coach. You should have known who he was, but to those of you who still don't know who he is, you'll know who he is in the playoff, I think. I think they are a team that is in sort of takeoff mode. We'll feel that way about a lot of teams right now. But a team that's in takeoff mode, I believe, is Arizona State. Now, doesn't mean you're going to win the national championship. It's not guaranteed they will. But it's a team I'm paying attention to. It's a team that I really like. I think Kenny Dillingham's not from the program or anything. He's not coming on later or whatever. But I have a lot of respect for him. He took over a terrible situation from Edwards. And I also respect that team and their ability to run the football, and that's something that I think Clemson has struggled with. Go look at the Louisville game, Georgia, various different games this year where they have South Carolina as well. They've just struggled when they play against teams that can effectively run the football, and a guy like Bo Scatterbill, who is a lot better than the running backs that Texas has, and thinks that the other pieces there don't match up that well. I think Clemson's actually a pretty decently good defensive team, which is, I think, can give Texas some trouble. I just think Arizona State's a hot team, so I have them moving on to the Cotton Bowl of all places. Then we get to State Government for just a second. State Boise. That's one that's simple to me. I think from a running back perspective, think about this. If you actually got this matchup, how crazy would this be? How crazy would it be to have Nick Singleton, Katron Allen versus Ashton Jennings? That's watching those offenses, those running backs, are going to be incredible. Now, do I think Boise has the same talent level or the same caliber type team as Penn State, or even the team they could face moving on in Georgia, or a team like Notre Dame? No, I do not. But I think it'd be a fun game. I think Penn State wins that game. I think Boise State will represent themselves pretty well, whoever they play against, whether it's SMU, those two teams. I think they'll represent themselves well. But I just think there are limitations on that team. I think defensively, again, just overall talent deposit, it's just not there. Reggie is still a very good team. I'm not disrespecting what those guys have done out there, especially quarterback Maddox Madison. But there are limitations there. I just don't know if this is a team I can take seriously to win a national championship. Now, look, they could ultimately win that Fiesta Bowl and move on to the Final Four, and they can fool me and blow everyone else. That's totally true. That could totally happen. But I don't foresee it happening. It would shock me a little bit if it did. But again, this is college football, and this season has been very strange. I think it's something that Josh Pate pointed out on Tuesday. I can't agree. What kind of vibe, or even the Sunday show, either way, something that he said on this past show, what vibe is this playoff going to give off? Is it going to be similar to the past few years? These dominant teams will skate you over. You'll get a lot of blowouts, and maybe the national championship game is entertaining a little bit. Or does this playoff represent sort of what the season has been, which is very strange, a lot of weird stuff happening, a lot of spooky things, if you will. Could that happen in this playoff? And one of those things, I believe, would be Boise State moving on and actually getting to the Final Four. That would be kind of insane to think about, but I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. So I have Penn State moving on from Boise, and they'll go to Miami for the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame, Georgia. Probably the best defensive team that Georgia has faced all year. Very physical team. Marcus Freeman, very physical mentality. I think Georgia is also one of those teams that are good. I think they are. I think Georgia, as far as something, even if it's not Gunnar Stockton as the starting quarterback or Carson Mick come back, I just feel like the team's also in takeoff mode. Your team that is really peaking at the right time. Still have a lot of pieces there. It's a veteran team, veteran leadership, veteran coaching staff as well. It's a team that, especially in the playoff format like this, and I have my own problems with it for sure. It's a team you just can't discard. It's like talking about again. I'm not. It's a disclaimer here. I'm not putting it in the same level as those Saban Bama teams, but it's the same sort of feel. You can't always discount them. You have to always consider what potentially have in terms of talent, coaching staff talent, roster. It's all there. And I think the biggest difference here is going to be whether or not Riley Leonard can perform and can he actually have the game of his career. This game, this match for it to happen. We'll know come tomorrow evening, tomorrow midnight, if this will happen. And if it does, then we're in for probably a very low scoring game. Probably this is happening. I'm not giving you guys a full on score prediction, whatnot, not a full on breakdown. But I'm going to choose Georgia. I'm going to move on to the Final Four to play Penn State and Miami plus. The final game is Oregon Ohio State. Oregon Ohio State. First game classic. It was the meme of Howard not knowing what down it was, and him scrambling for a first down, the clock runs out, and all of this and that, and Ryan Day hot seat talk. I do believe with Ohio State, there's been a lot of talk about Ryan Day in his future there. Personally, like I said on Tuesday, I don't think he's in trouble if it was me about the seat of the athletic director here, who is Ross Bjork, who's from Texas A&M. If I was Ross Bjork, I was the athletic director, regardless of the result this weekend. He's not going anywhere. There's no definitive upgrade. There's no Mike Vrabel is not going to come down and put on the Superman cape and speaking of Superman, put on the superhero cape and come down and save you. He's not going to. That's not. I don't think that's going to happen. He's not a definitive upgrade over Ryan Day. But then again, I can say that, and then they lose this weekend, and I know with Michigan, obviously that's extremely important. It's been horrible lately. I mean. Look, I'm not a Ohio State fan. I'm not a Ohio State fan. I'm not from that area. I never lived up there, never even been to the state of Ohio. Nor am I a Michigan fan, nor have I ever been to the state of Michigan. So my view on this rivalry is from like a 50,000-foot perspective. It's like viewing it from the International Space Station. So I don't know what the inner workings are, but I understand these people are passionate about that rivalry. You haven't liked the way they've treated that game, at least from the internal situation there at Ohio State and how they've approached it. Not to mention the record, and not to mention also the fact they've failed to make it to Indianapolis multiple years of having good quarterbacks. Jay Stroud. It's just not fulfilling on the potential they have here, based on roster talent, historicalness, and how good I think Ryan Day is. So again, like I said, I don't think Ryan Day. If it was me, I wouldn't fire him. And if they do end up doing what people are suggesting they might, which is they may let him go, I won't like it. I won't agree with it. But it's not my program; it's yours. So. You do you, I guess. If you want to make a program-altering change there, if you're Ross Bjork, you can go right ahead. You have the keys. You can do whatever you want. It's like, it's your car. You can drive it however you want to. You can crash it. You can choose not to use it. It's up to you. But anyway, because of the pressure up there, and I think how this team, this talented team, right? This is the most, besides Georgia, the most talented team in this playoff bracket. There's no doubt in my mind they are. I think if this does happen, they get past Tennessee, they sort of harness that energy. They just take their frustrations out on them. Like I think they might be able to, the capability of doing so. If they play Oregon in the Rose Bowl, of all places, I do believe the old adage of it's hard to beat teams twice will come into play. And I think Ohio State wins that game. Somehow, someway, I think they will. They'll move on. They're in the Final Four. Penn State, Georgia could be a classic game. This is a game that, ironically, too, a matchup that's pretty historical. I think these two teams haven't played in a while, I don't believe. I know they played each other in the past, championships and whatnot. So it's a very classic matchup, very classic helmet matchup here. I would probably favor Georgia here, very slightly. I think it'll be interesting to see what the number would be for this game. I think this is what Josh Pitt had, too, so I'm curious to remember what that spread was, the hypothetical number that FanDuel gave him. But if I recall, it was like a 1.5 point spread or something like that. So very small margins here if that was the case. I don't expect it to be so if it is the case. So I'll probably expect it like Georgia minus 1.5 or Georgia minus 2.5 or something like that. Typical neutral site spread. Again, Georgia is a team that's in takeoff mode, and I think, however they do it. I think they can do it. I think they have a veteran leadership, roster construction, veteran coaching. Then again, Penn State, I think if look at Penn State makes it here and they're in the Final Four, that's actually pretty good. And I think a lot of folks don't realize how easy a path Penn State has to get to this point. Again, like I said, I'm not picking them a national championship. That's a spoiler. I'm not picking them to. But if my predictions are being true that they do make it to the Final Four, golf clap for James Franklin. Golf clap. And that is a big deal. And a lot of folks don't believe that. A lot of folks would probably say, "Oh, you still can't win the big game." Like, who cares? You made it. You know how many teams actually make it to the Final Four, or even let alone making the national championship. Very small number. Very small number of teams have ever done it before. And let alone this is a 12-team playoff, which is obviously a lot more games to go into, and the injury aspect, and having to play multiple games. Huge win for James Franklin that if they actually make it to the Final Four. Whether they win or not, it's a little bit past the point here. I think that's a very successful season for them. They shouldn't be ashamed of it either. So Georgia in the national championship in Atlanta, Georgia. So here you go, their third game already in the state of Atlanta. State of Georgia and Atlanta. Arizona State, Ohio State. It's pretty simple. As much as, again, I like the Arizona State story. I love what Kenny Dillingham's doing out there. He's a rock star head coach, a young up-and-coming head coach. Ohio State, again, sort of like Georgia, is roster construction, head coaching, leadership. Just all the things I think that Ohio State can do, sort of what Georgia can do to a lot of teams. Run the football very physically when they can do, and everything. It sounds like I'm talking about like a potential severe weather situation. When all the ingredients are in place, Ohio State has the capability to be a national championship level team. They haven't shown a lot this year, even in some wins they've had. But I think Ohio State, if they can harness against some of the frustrations they've had lately, they hear all this stuff about Ryan Daniels' future. They can harness it and play well, execute perfectly. The coaches are coaching well. The players are playing well. Judkins and Henderson have a huge playoff run, maybe potentially they can get going. Also, utilize those receivers. Jeremiah Smith, Mecca Abuka. Could be too much for Arizona State. I think the talent level there, the talent gap there is just too much. And I grant you, there is obviously a path for Arizona State to win the game if this is the matchup here. There's always a path, always a path, always a path, always a path. That path is probably both Scatterbo having a good day and that offense, being able to take advantages against an Ohio State defense. It can be had on. You saw Michigan do it, and definitely saw Oregon do it the first time. But I think Ohio State, if everything goes perfectly well, they could potentially navigate through them. Could be a close game. We'll see. I think the spread will probably be like around 11 or 7-ish or whatever. Probably pretty high. A lot higher than the Penn State, Georgia hypothetical. Then you move to the national championship game, Ohio State, Georgia. We all had it, right? Like we all thought it would be. And I'm going to go with Josh Pate here. I think Georgia wins the national championship if they make it here. I just think they're a team that's in ascension mode. I just think there's something different with Georgia now after what happened in the Bama game, what happened in the Ole Miss game. It's like, I don't know. It's just like this is what happens when you expand the playoff and allow those teams to get in. Like Georgia or a team like Penn State or even a team like Ohio State. These teams, if you let them swim around, they're like little shark fins, just meandering around the waters. They can attack you, and they can be extremely dangerous. And that is something I don't think a lot of people have really took into consideration when they create this. Now, people like me and the folks who understand how this is going to work understand that. But it's the general, you just assume, oh, yeah, Boise State can beat Penn State. Are you sure about that? Oh, yeah. Arizona State can beat Ohio State. Are you sure about that? Look, I respect those crews. I respect the heck out of Arizona State. I think they've had a terrific year. I just don't know if they're the type of team that has the capability of beating a team like Ohio State or beating a team like Oregon or beating a team like Penn State. I don't think so. There's always a path there, a very narrow path. But if my bracket ends up working out here, at least with the teams winning the first round and moving on, I can definitely see this working out to where Georgia does win the national championship if Ohio State gets there. And that does happen. What a weird story for Ryan Day. You lose to Michigan, you don't make the Big Ten championship game, you swarm your way into the playoff, you beat Tennessee, you beat Oregon in the rematch in the sequel, and you make it all the way to the national championship. You didn't win it, but I think Ohio State fans would at least give them some more time to don't know. I guess continue doing what they're doing up there. I mean, like I said, I don't personally. I don't think Ryan Day should be in any trouble, but much to my chagrin, unfortunately, he is, and whatever. I can say that, and obviously, that's not the way those people are thinking, or a lot of people are thinking. So, my prediction here: Georgia, the national champions. I know it sounds boring, but that's just the way the playoff is set up currently. Those are the results they're probably going to end up getting. Like, the thing that people have talked about, like me, Josh Pate, guys on Cover 3 and whatnot, when you get these teams, these SEC teams, Big Ten teams, are like 9-3 or 10-2 or whatever. Again, the old model wouldn't allow this. The new model does allow it. And those teams, you've always talked about this current model that we have, even though it's going to go, even though it's going to change again in a couple of years. Those are the type of teams you really have to be careful with. Tennessee as well. Never seen them. Very dangerous. I mean, the Tennessee can win that game as well against Ohio State. I was very evident about that. And of course, someone's calling me. I don't know who this is. It's a 925 number. You should know better. If you're calling me, you're in that 925 number. You should know who I am. Interrupt me during my show. It's a telemarketer, by the way. It's not someone I know. At least I don't think. They didn't have the courtesy to leave a message either. So at least I don't think they're leaving one. But whatever. I'll check it after the show. And we're live, too. So if you guys listen to it on the replay, then this doesn't make any sense. But whatever. I'm going to take my first drink break here and go touch on the transfer portal real quick. Move on to the Superman trailer because, boy, I have a lot of thoughts on that. And then USC stuff, and then Buccaneers prediction, and we'll get out of here. Last show of the year. And then tomorrow I'll be working on my the individual videos. So I'll be busy doing that in the morning. So. And by the way, nothing happened to your office. I was getting some water real quick, if you can tell, but make sure the voice is parched here to make sure we continue to survive. By the way, I haven't even checked so far as to if you guys can hear me or not. I was supposed to do it a little bit earlier, so let me go to the mobile device here to check the volume. Okay. You guys can definitely hear me, at least to a certain extent. The quality of the stream, questionable to say the least, but it works out fine. At least you guys can at least still hear me. Hopefully one day we can get that worked out. Transfer portal into a lot of things happening, a lot of movement happening, literally as we're going on. John Mateer, remember him from Washington State? People, when he initially entered in about a couple days ago, thought, oh yeah, his OC is at Oklahoma. No big brainer, right? Well, then Miami starts floating around. Those rumors and theories going around. People start going, Miami could potentially drop the bag here, right? I mean, they're not a public institution. They're private, so we don't know what their payroll necessarily is. But the rumor out there is like it's well into the millions and tens of millions of dollars. I mean, granted, who they have in the women's basketball team, like you don't think they're keeping them around, and also Cam Ward this year. It's a massive payroll that they have. But they were floating around. Miami did an effort, but it didn't. John Mateer is an Oklahoma Sooner, but his OC, Arbuckle, the OC, is a young guy too, like around the same age, I believe, but he's an Oklahoma Sooner. No shock there. Of course, Rick Venables' company needed someone to be a proven product. Not someone they're waiting on. No offense to Michael Hawkins Jr. I'm sure he's a good athlete, but John Mateer is a real deal. Like, he is a machine. He's not Bert Kreischer. It's a different type of machine, even though Bert Kreischer is calling a NFL game on Netflix, which is whatever. But different type of machine there, and he's really good. Run the football a little bit. A good passer. Really good. Patrick Payne's also in the portal as well. Florida State. He is on the move, apparently. Now, that necessarily means he's gone forever, but I would have him in the authority he may be gone. He's a four-star guy. He was one of the players that, Pete Thamel and all those, like Nick Saban and all those analysts and stuff were saying over spring and summer fall camp, saying, "Oh man, this is the best defensive line in all of college football." Like, the NFL's got to say that too. He's a very good player, talented guy. He is going to warrant a massive draw, and he entered in yesterday at the database. So he is available. A lot of teams, I would assume, in the southeastern region would be very, very, very happy to get him if he is still available for him. Eric Singleton Jr. This one is getting interesting. So 24/7 has Auburn listed as the favorite. I don't know for sure. Like, yes, Singleton's probably going to want a massive pay. What was I trying to say there? He's going to want a lot of money, is what I'm trying to say. That's obvious, and I think Auburn can handle that. At least I think. But there's obviously other teams that can be in the mix. Like Miami can be in the mix. Georgia, obviously in-state school. I mean, they know who he is, obviously. Bama can be in the mix there. That's one to watch. I personally don't think Auburn's a favorite here. I'll probably favor Georgia just because I think it's more proven product. You can start there immediately, and not to mention too, like Georgia's had a horrible rap, and Bud Elliott's pointed us out over the past or for a while that Georgia's not been able to develop wide receivers out of high school. They've had guys there that can do it, like who are in the league, like George Pickens, but outside of maybe Hamilton, like Lyle McConkey, they have not developed guys out of high school very well. Even the portal, I know some of the legal stuff, but just from a recruiting standpoint, not good enough. This will be a huge boost here, but you can get him. He is the third best player. Peyton is now the second best player. And John Mateer is off the board now, so he's gone. Deuce Robinson's still there. We know about him. And of course, this happens during our show, but Zachariah Branch is in the portal too. And I'll touch on USC here in a little bit, but Branch could also be in play for a lot of teams in the southeastern region. Emphasize the southeastern region, so like Auburn, Miami, LSU, Bama, Georgia, typical places you would expect him to be getting eyes on. Very talented kid. Had a great first year a couple years ago. This year, not so much. Struggled a little bit. A lot of potential as a both receiver and a kick return specialist too. How about that? A couple other guys here who have committed. Some of these have not necessarily been decided yet. Fernando Mendoza is still out there. He could be a very interesting pickup for anyone. KJ Conception, I think KJ Conception, I think that's his name, Conception. He's still available too. He's been in the portal. He's been in the database for actually over 2 weeks. Interesting to see he's not picked up yet. That's interesting. I don't know if that's a signal saying that he's not being valued by much. By as many teams as you thought he was. I would imagine if Singleton doesn't get Auburn, Auburn for that one, I think that would be one that would be very appealing for him. Of course, again, talking about teams in the southeastern region again, maybe even the Midwest too. Iowa State maybe could be in play there. Some of the quarterbacks we'll check on some of these other positions here real quick, and then we'll move on. So you know about Mateer. Mendoza's still out there. Malik Murphy today, by the way, is going to Oregon State. How about that? Following the trail of DJU. Walker White, too, is also on the portal. I touched on that the other day. Kaden Salter, by the way, too. He also is off the board, too. Just announced it today, actually. He is going to Colorado. So he's probably the replacement for one Shedeur Sanders. Aaron Nolan's also in the portal, too. I think I mentioned that on Tuesday. So he's been in. Both Prigla is in. The Avira, I think I mentioned he's going to LSU. Some of these other ones I haven't seen much results on yet. Quarterback-wise, let's see here. Another position here we can check on real quick. Running back, Justice Haynes is out there. Warshawn Parker from Washington State. A couple other ones. Joyner from USC, never USC player. Not a whole lot of good running backs that are really of value. So probably Justice Haynes is the one that I would look at to see if you're a fan of the team that's in the southeastern region again. Who knows? You could also go the G5 route too. But I think those are some of the notable ones. Notable transfer portal results. I will say this too. There are still other names, and even more names you guys haven't even heard of, and let alone even me. I'm saying that because some other industry types have also mentioned that a lot of names behind the scenes that are particularly playoff team players that have been contacted by portal people. So, going back to the old Del Raiola rumors and theories a couple weeks ago, sort of the same idea. Players that have not entered into the database that are getting talked here. You can call that tampering. That is what it is. No one's going to stop you. Like what? The FBI or the ATF's going to show up to your house and tamper with someone. Like that's not going to happen. I don't think. But there are certainly some big name players on these playoff teams that have been contacted. I don't I'm not going to speculate who they are, but I just have a feeling they're those players. Like if Bo Pribula can enter the portal, and he's not on the Penn State roster anymore, so he is done. So he cannot. He's no longer on the team. He's in the academy, a free agent, if you will. Personally, I think this whole structure is dumb. Like think about this. Like December is so stupid. It's like you have recruiting, conference championship week, playoff. Your database opens up, and players leave, players come in, and coaches get fired, and all this and that. And top of that, you also have the holidays and New Year's. So busy. These can easily be solved, but unfortunately, it's not. Hopefully, people like me, cover 3 guys, Josh, Big Morby, those scream and yell about it, and hopefully, still will change will be made. I don't think it will, unfortunately, but the more people talk about it, hopefully, there will be changes because the schedule sucks. No doubt about it. The schedule absolutely sucks. And that's why you were seeing, guys like Bo Pribula and these other potential players on these playoff teams, and they have no choice to have to enter. If it's, even though yes, they still have chances to enter even after the playoffs start, because those playoff teams, those players, those rosters are given an extra couple days, I think 5 days to enter in the portal, so a little bit of grievance period. But even then, it's like no one's going to be available in the portal, or no teams are going to be searching for players unless you're just like a desperate G5 team. So if you're someone like Bo Pribula, you have to enter it now, or else there's no market. Like the thing is basically closed, and you're like kind of floating around, and you'll be in there until I guess probably the spring, maybe. But I don't know. Just the whole calendar is screwed up, and hopefully they can fix it. But I don't think they're going to, unfortunately. But whatever. I'm not the one in charge here. So that's in the portal intel. Some big names out there to watch. Singleton for sure. I don't think Auburn's favored there. I'll probably favor Georgia a little bit. Maybe some other teams in the southeastern region again. I'm emphasizing that region because that's where a lot of these guys want to go to. Patrick Payton's a new one. And those are probably the two big ones I'm looking at here in terms of who could be on the move and who could be big movers. And, of course, there's also the mystery players that we don't know about. Publicly, we don't know about, but they're out there. Trust me, they're definitely out there. There's no – like, you'll be – I'm going to say stupid, but you'd be a little bit foolish to not believe that. There are certainly big-time players who are not in the portal right now, not in the database, who could just up and leave. Be like, you know what? I'm going to leave. Whatever. My team's in the playoff. Don't care. Have to go now because if I don't, then no teams are going to get me, and I'm stuck here and whatever. So if they count, do it now. You have to do it now. But it doesn't have to be like this. And then the calendar of December doesn't have to be like this. But it is. So whatever. So I can't fix it. I'm not going to be college football commissioner, but hopefully someone out there will be able to fix it. I'm going to get more water here, and then we'll Superman trailer thoughts, USC thoughts, then Dallas Buccaneers prediction, and then we'll wrap up the show. It's good water, by the way. Weird, a little side story here, I guess, while we're actually doing pretty well on time, actually, believe it or not. But the water quality, especially at the university where I go to, if I ever fill my water bottles over there, versus the ones in my apartment, water quality is a lot different. I don't know what it is, but the quality on campus is awful. It's just gross. Like, ugh. But the water quality here is fine. I don't know. It must be the chemicals, whatever crap is in there, but I don't know. I guess it's fine. I'm still here. But definitely the water quality, whenever I go to campus and have to refill, not good. It's it has a weird texture to it. It's like almost like soapish. Like it's almost like someone mixed in some like soapy cleaning substance, and it just tastes kind of weird, but whatever. But if you're ever doing podcasts, keep on recommending this. Make sure you have a bottle of water with you because it keeps the going. There was a little trailer that came out today. You may have heard of it. James Gunn's Superman came out today. I've watched it for you. I'm not going to play it on here. I know some streams, like Josh over at Dead Nerds, his stream almost got taken down today because it was playing the trailer too much. So to avoid a James Gunn and his army of internet people and Google and stuff, I'm not going to play the trailer for you. I'm not going to do like a live reaction because I've already seen it. I saw it this morning at the same time you did, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Oh, by the way, too, I'm not going over skeleton crew. It's not that I don't want to go over it. It's just there's not enough time to do it. I'll follow up with you guys after the break. But I'm not gonna be able to do it today. Maybe I might do an individual video tomorrow. We'll see, but not today on the show. I don't have time for it right now. But I'm still watching it, so keep an eye on it. But this Superman trailer, I have some mixed thoughts on this. I certainly do. I know some people don't like James Gunn, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding him and how DC's been going in general. Look, I don't talk a lot about DC. I don't. That's not a focus thing on here, but this is certainly a big story that warrants discussion, and I totally think that it's appropriate here to talk about it now. Um, it's been a pretty rough start, Dave. I mean, I guess I can talk about the trailer first, and I can give you guys my full thoughts on where I think this is going to go. The trailer itself, I think, was fine. It was okay. If I was to give it like a ranking out of 10, probably 7 out of 10, probably 7.5 out of 10, which is solid. Just from a structural standpoint, and I watched Josh over at Damn Nerds. I know, controversial figure these days. I know. I watched this stream earlier. I watched this stream yesterday about the preview for the preview, or the preview for the trailer when it came out yesterday. I know a lot of folks didn't like it, the quality and the sort of structure of it from a film perspective. Well, it's coming from someone who didn't even go into film school, but I have some basic knowledge of photography and film stuff and whatnot, and, like the color grading, getting certain shots, which shots don't work and whatnot. But just from a trailer structure, I don't know if it was the best thing they put out there. I think it was very ballsy, by the way, to start out with, David Cornseth's Superman, getting injured. I'm assuming that has something to do with later on in the trailer. You see, who's it? The guy who played Beast in the other X-Men movies. What's his name? Nicholas Hoult. His version of Lex Luthor with the pistol. Probably a kryptonite bullet, which is from the comics, by the way. You didn't know that. Or something that's been done in the comics where he shoots him in the chest and it's a kryptonite bullet. And Superman almost dies. That's probably what it is. There's some other weird stuff going on with like Ultraman and maybe a potential Superman clone. That's some theories and stuff that's been out there and rumors and stuff. Very ballsy choice to start out with injured Superman, and you get Crypto the dog. But now, I will say this, and this is the one thing I don't agree with Josh over at Dev Nerds, is that he's made a big deal about the Crypto dog and how it's not a lab and it's Schnauzer, I think that's what it is, or a breed of dog. I don't care. It's fine. It's a dog. It's a white dog. At least it's not too much apart from the comics. Yes, it would have been cool to have a lab, like a lap dog or whatever. I'm not a dog breeder. It's fine. Dog looks fine to me. It's a dog. It's what the issue is, and that everything in comics or not anything in comic movies has to be 100% comic accurate. But I do agree with you that the suit at times doesn't look the best. It definitely looks like a CW, for example, it definitely looks more like something you would see like in the CW, like Lois and, or I think it's like the Lois and Clark show, or that whatever that Superman TV show was on the CW. Kind of the same quality. It's not. I mean, I don't hate it as much as some people do, or like Josh from the Nerds, but it's fine. It's not the best suit. Now the look is cool though. I will give it that, but just the overall feel of it, I agree. It's not the best, but whatever. I mean, it's very classic. And again, there's also some people have complained about the trunks. Fine with me. I don't care. I mean, it's accurate to the comics at the very least, so it's fine with me. Again, much like the some stuff we saw yesterday, the first photo was released yesterday. Just the color grading was weird. Some of the shots too looked kind of generic, almost like stock footage almost. One thing that I know people were worried about when it started coming out with the trailer was like people like Jeff Snyder, by the way. And by the way, too, Jeff Snyder has been jerked through the mud. Oh my goodness, man, that's been rough for him. And he's like, I'm gonna stand the back for Jeff Snyder, but my goodness, I mean, like, whatever. I know a lot of people don't like him. You can have your own personal things of Jeff, but I think as a source of information, Jeff's up there. I mean, he's a guy who used to work for, again, the Hollywood trades. He's a very experienced veteran guy. He knows what he's doing. He has sources and whatnot. Some Jeff Snyder put out there, the trailer was, again, sort of like, rock and roll Superman. Everyone's like, oh, no, is this like some Guardians of the Galaxy level stuff? Is the whole trailer going to be like a Guardian-style trailer? Like that vibe, like, too silly and kind of weird. I actually thought the trailer music was actually pretty good. It's the rock and roll rendition of the John Williams theme, which on paper sounds stupid. When you actually hear it, actually sounds kind of good. Actually, I don't know, but it was interesting. Then it kind of transitioned into more of a traditional orchestra uh, type of music. So that was kind of cool to hear that. Some of the shots are kind of cool, like where Superman saves the little kid from the pipes or whatever from the big like kaiju dragon monster, which I don't necessarily hate that much. I do agree with Josh and Nerds as well too that it looks a little silly. Doesn't look the best. They can certainly do a lot better than CGI. Definitely looks kind of cheap. It is kind of disappointing when like Doomsday, by the way, on that Superman TV show on the CW looks way better than what they're doing in the movies. Whatever. Trying to think what else stood out really in the trailer. Um, Again, some of the action scenes are kind of cool. The Crypto the dog finally getting him in there, regardless of whatever you think of, if it's the right breed or not. It was cool to actually see that. uh, I guess some of the stuff about the Guy Gardner going Green Lantern. I mean, look, I am glad they're moving into the more connected universe stuff and not doing what they're doing with Zack Snyder or even the past Superman stuff. Where there weren't like, I guess mainly Zack Snyder because the Zack Snyder movie was just Superman and that was it. So at least I'm glad that they're actually going into the more, big open universe and ton of different characters. That's fine. I don't really care. Yes, does it feel busy? Sure, but let alone I haven't seen the movie yet, so who knows? It could work or not work. I know a lot of folks are complaining about Guy Garner. I think it's Nathan Fillion who's playing him, who was also in Suicide Squad, which is kind of strange. And the same actor playing that character, which is that's happened before. It's just kind of weird. It's a notable actor playing a lesser known character and then playing a pretty well known character, and Guy Gardner, who is pretty big in the Green Lantern mythos. But a lot of folks are complaining about the haircut and where it looks too much like the comics. Sure, it looks dumb, but I don't know. I mean, sure, it looks like the comics, but whatever. It's not the way I would have approached it, but it's fine. I will say the effects they used for the Green Lantern powers, like the green, like blazer or whatever, didn't look good either. It definitely looked TV show-ish, so that definitely needs to be cleaned up. I'm trying to think what else is notable. Yeah, the CGI kaiju monster. Yeah, could have been a little bit better. Definitely looks like a video game kind of. Uh, Other than that, I mean, I thought it was a solid trailer. Didn't necessarily, reinvent the wheel. Did it necessarily like drive by excitement for the movie? To be honest, not really, which is kind of damning. This is one of the most popular superhero characters, one of the biggest IPs any studio can have. So, the best impression, I think, for James Gunn, who's been under a lot of criticism lately. DC in general, what I was saying at the beginning, kind of talking about now, my whole thoughts on where does DCU is going. It's been off to a bad start, right? You have the stuff about James. Here's what I'll say about James Gunn, my opinion on him. He's very much still like Lane Kiffin. If you're not a football fan, you're listening to this, college football fan, Lane Kiffin is a head coach with us, very vocal on social media. He's also had a lot of success as a head coach, some failures too as a head coach, but he's done pretty well where he's been at, especially recently. Him and James Gunn are very similar, very vocal on Twitter, very heavy into trolling and stuff like that. James Gunn, I think, had very similar to Lane Kiffin. Polarizing figure. If you like him, you don't like him. There's no real in between. I kind of like James Gunn. I think he's. I like some of his stuff. I do like he's more like the real hardcore nerd stuff, like bringing in like very obscure characters. He's had a very proven track record of doing so. Do I will? Well, how should I word this? His set of social media interactions. Well, I don't mind them. Like I don't. You can do whatever you want. I think there does come a time where it does get annoying, especially going after like Grace Randolph, watching Nerds, some of these other reporters, and Jeff Snyder, where it starts to get a little more personal. That aspect, I think, from a PR standpoint, is so major in that. I don't necessarily know if I think that's the way I'll be conducting myself. And then again, James Gunn's in the goal, he can handle himself. And I do question that aspect of it. It is kind of annoying. But look, again, he has the freedom to type whatever he wants, right? He can be as transparent as he wants to. Yes, some of it's trolling. Yes, it is sort of like the Lane Kiffin type stuff, where Lane has got into it with reporters before and whatnot. especially when you're in Auburn coaching search. But it's just, I don't know, some other stuff, like, for example, like, James having the media event on Tuesday, and it was only a very small handful of reporters who are loyal to him. I'll be honest, that to me kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, okay, you're not going to look at the constructive criticism, and not to mention, picking, I don't know, just some of the decisions over their account. We're not to mention, too, a lot of their projects that they've been announcing. Like, for example, what is it, we also have the Clayface movie, which is like, where did that come from? Not to mention that. You also have the Authority movie. Like, that's actually being rumored to not be a live action movie. They're moving that to animation, or that may not happen at all because of the financial stuff going on over there. And plus, too, it's also it's a bad sign when you have David Zaslav, who was selling stock off yesterday. I believe that was reported. He was selling some Warner Brothers stock. So not a good start. Not a good start to your first movie in the new DCU. I know a lot of folks say, well, technically, Creature Commandos, that's a TV show. It's not the same. This does. This is your first big movie, your first big project. If this is it. This is our introduction into the proper DCU. Yes, you can say technically Creature Commandos and some of the Peacemaker stuff. Well, that's fine, and I understand. Yes, that's technically our first introduction. But it's like, this is your big deal. Like, this is it. This is the inaugural film. And you put out a subpar trailer, in my opinion. You also have some chaos going on behind the scenes. Not to mention, too, I forgot this. I've said not to mention a lot. But, of course, there was also the whole, Robert Pattinson rumors of his Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman, to be integrated into James Gunn stuff. And that's who's going to be the Batman and Brain the Bold. And a lot of controversy and stuff going on there, too. There's a lot of distractions. So very, very disorganized, very mysterious. I don't really know what's going on, but heck, I don't even know if like half the people over there know what's going on. It's very confusing. And again, I thought the trailer was fine. I don't have nothing really necessarily wrong with it. I just don't know if it's the best way to give your audience the first look of your big inaugural movie. Not the way I would have done it. Hopefully, the next pieces of marketing a lot better. But I'll just say this. I mean, look, I'll give it a chance. I have faith in James Gunn to at least put a good product out there. But I would be lying to you if I had general concern about this. So we'll see what happens. Again, I try to be positive on this show, but I have some concerns here. And look, I was someone who was somewhat excited about this. Like, I was excited about the aspect of having James Gunn come in, sort of, fix a very fractured DC fan base. You get a new Superman movie out there. You're getting into some of the very hardcore stuff. You're bringing in your Ray Lantern stuff. You're doing some, other TV shows and movies, and everything's connected, and you're finally having a uniformed, cohesive universe, movie universe. And now it's like you're bringing in Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's like, huh? Like, okay, it's not the way I would have done it. Like, why? I don't know why you couldn't have two Batmans running around, but whatever. Hopefully they can get this fixed, and I'll go see the movie when it comes out. I'll give it a benefit of the doubt, but I'll be lying to you that I am a little bit concerned, very much so concerned. And speaking of concern, talk about USC here. Excuse me, and then we'll talk about Cowboys and Buccaneers and wrap up the show here. Check how long we've been going for. Good clip here, about 50 minutes. That's not too bad. Speaking of trouble, what's happening in USC? What's happening right now? As I mentioned earlier during the transfer portal segment, they've been losing a lot of players. Zachariah Branch has left. Deuce Robinson has left. Some other high-profile players. Bear Alexander. Of course, what happened last year happened. This doesn't blow up from USC. I think it's kind of obvious. Everyone's talked about it, but I don't think a lot of folks realize how bad this really was. USC last year going 6-6, and I even said this throughout the season. I thought them going 6-6 and having all these close losses, and beating LSU was a nice one for Lincoln Riley and whatnot. I actually feel pretty good about USC after the season was over. I felt kind of good about it, right? Defense is playing well. Deontay Lynn, Anthony Lynn's, I think, son, I believe. He's related. I just don't know what relation he is, but he's a son. Uh, Very good addition to that staff over there, that coaching staff. Great addition. Great. Exactly what they got last year. Offense, not so much. One let me down. Let a lot of USC fans down. Losing Bill Ross, whatever, big deal. But it doesn't seem like anything's happening over there. It just seems like everything was steady, even though despite 6-6. But everything just seems like it's going downhill very fast. And all of a sudden you're losing players and you're have the schedule happening. We're scheduled to play next year, and you don't even know if you're going to be able to have a very talented roster. And half of those players too who are leaving are all 4 and 5 stars. How did this happen? How did this happen? I don't know, but I have my own theories on this. The most popular one that's been out there for a while, and I think a lot of industry people have touched on this. USC's NIL function or NIL department is not the way it is, and that's not where it should be. It's been reported by some people. I think Grant Marcello has touched on this before. It's supposedly very dysfunctional. It's not very organized. There are a lot of broken promises. That's to me the easy answer. Not to mention, you're in the Big Ten now. You have the people of Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, like all the other teams in the Big Ten. So that's a challenge for them. And again, this is someone comes from someone who likes Rick and Lyle. He's one of my favorite players, especially or coaches, especially from an offensive play calling standpoint, one of the best out there, and I still think he is. I don't know if they're going to have a talented roster or not next year. Like, it's very, very bewildering, very jarring to me that USC, if you're imagine telling yourself 20 years ago in 2004, during the height of the Pete Carroll era of USC, if you're to tell yourself then saying, hey, this is going to be, this transfer portal will be around in 20 years. NIL, where you can make players make money and whatnot. You'll think to yourself, telling someone, the person you're telling this to in 2004, they'll probably go, man, USC is probably, winning multiple national championships and making, winning, 11 or so plus games, or was this playoff? Oh, yeah, USC should be in that. They have not. They have became close, but they have not sniffed it at all. They've had Eisner Trophy winner. They've had multiple good recruiting classes, supposedly fought good recruiting classes, but all those guys are leaving. So the fear is for USC fans and folks in the industry is not only are you not going to have a very good roster next year, more likely, unless they don't pull off a miracle and get some very high profile people in the portal, or maybe they get some of these guys come back. Personally, I don't think they're coming back. So like Zachariah Branch, I think he's a goner. I don't think he's coming back. At least I don't think. So unless they can get some of these guys who are available in the portal, like the NC wide receiver, maybe some other people who are not in the portal yet that could be in the portal. Unless that happens, this USC roster is probably going to be the worst roster they've had there in a long time. Even worse than the one that Clay Helton had his final year. Like, that's how bad it's probably going to get. Like, it could be probably more of a 4-1, 5-1 team next year based on their schedule. I don't have it pulled up right now, but I'm pretty sure it's got like Ohio State or one of the two Michigan Ohio States on there. I think they go to Penn State. But it's the Big Ten schedule. They clearly, whoever they play against, whether it's like a Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska, Rutgers, even within those games, it's like I don't know if they're going to have a capable of roster even beat those teams. Again, this comes from someone who is a Lincoln Riley supporter who I've enjoyed watching offenses. I think he's a really good coach. This is a tough time for him, and he's smart enough to figure it out. I'm sure he can. But unless they'll do some work in this portal and then the spring one, it's going to be a rough year for them. It really is. And that's where I do begin to get a little concerned about his future there and how much patience will begin to run out there. I know some of the more prominent alumni and former players there and NFL types too who voiced their concerns for the program. It's going to get even louder. There's also another working theory out there that maybe Lincoln Riley's looking to the NFL, maybe, and that's why players are leaving because they know he's not going to be there next year. That I don't know about. That one, to me, is more speculation than the first theory, which is just that USC's NIL department is a mess. And there's nothing Lincoln Riley can do about it. Sure, you can plead and scream and stop and whatnot, and that collective to be working, but that shouldn't be his control, but unfortunately it kind of is. But Very concerned about USC right now. Very concerned. They're losing a lot of good players. The roster, it's interesting to see when, for example, like when Bud Elliott does his blue-suit ratio. Probably would assume USC is going to fall out. I'm trying to remember. I don't think they were in his list last year. Definitely not this year. They have lost so many players in the portal. Their roster next year, to me, is probably one of the worst rosters in the Big Ten. I'm just saying it right now. Like they're going to be down towards like Purdue level. I mean, not so much Purdue, but they're not too far off from Purdue either. They're probably in like the Purdue, Rutgers, and Minnesota, that level of roster talent. Uh, Michigan State, somewhat. So I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But USC is going to have one of the worst rosters in the Big Ten next year. Never thought I would ever say that. Hell, never would have thought I would say that about any USC team in any conference. They'll have one of the worst rosters, but it sure looks like it. Unless some of those guys are going to come back, which I personally do not believe they will. Surprise! I would fall off my chair if, like, for example, Zachariah Branch announces, "Oh, just kidding, I'm coming back to USC." I would be stunned. Doesn't look like it. Well, again, like I said, Victor Raleigh, he's an adult. He can figure it out. If he's so smart, he can figure it out. I think he can. I hope he can. But it's not looking too good right now. I'm very concerned about them. And oh man, it's sad. Really is sad for USC, and hopefully they can figure it out. Like I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough, especially if this ends up being what the roster is currently. If nothing changes, it's going to be one of the worst rosters of all the teams at P4. So I'll end it with that. Very depressing topic there. You guys know Dallas and Tampa are playing this weekend? They are. A little prediction here real quick to wrap up the show, but Dallas, Tampa, Sunday Night Football, Chris Collinsworth will be there. Everyone's favorite color commentator guy, and Al Michaels. Not Al Michaels, Mike Tirico, but Al will be calling the game tonight. Thursday against Kirk. Yeah, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, everyone's favorite. Tampa, surprisingly, 3.5 over against the Dallas team, who is getting better. Pretty sure not the sleeper we thought they were. They're more instead of a sleeper, they're more asleep. They have struggled. This will probably be, well, that's kind of obvious based on the record. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So this is probably going to be Tampa's easiest defensive game all year. That's coming off of what they did against the Chargers last week and what they didn't do against a fairly bad team and the Raiders. But yeah, this is the easiest, the most gettable defense they faced all year. By far, it was a gettable defense all year. The thing I worry about this, looking at it from a situational standpoint, now I'm going to pick the Buccaneers to win the game outright, to cover. They're, again, 3.5 point favorite according to FanDuel. I'm a sponsor of the show. No, I'm not advocating for anyone to ban gamble, sports gamble, or sports bet. If you want to, you want to. If you don't want to, it's totally fine. But for my prediction purposes, they are 3.5 favorite on the road. Last time they were there, that's Tom Brady years, they won a very close game. My concern for Tampa is that it's a second leg of a road trip. You just won, at LA, a very big win. Falcons are still in, for the most part, in the division running. In your division, you have to continue to win because again, if Tampa they were to lose this game and the Falcons continue to win, the head-to-head aspect will come into play and they will win that division. And Tampa just better hope and pray and get a wild card spot, which is very unlikely because the way the NFC is stacking right now, it's pretty busy. A lot of those teams in the NFC West, by the way, are just as good as candidates for a playoff spot, wild card. But the worry here again for me for Tampa is that you're coming off a big win against the Chargers. You're going on the road to Dallas, and Dallas team is wounded. I know Cooper Rush is playing pretty well, despite the fact the team's not doing too well. It's a gettable defense, but can be pretty good. Micah Parsons is still pretty good. The CeeDee Lamb concerns me. He's probably the best overall receiver they faced all year. Tampa, I think, the best talented receiver they faced all year. That's a concern. Again, Micah Parsons is a machine, not Bert Kreischer, but a machine on defense. You can get to the quarterback, and he's really good. So, because of that win, and I wonder if Tampa and Todd can't get this team back. They don't read their press clippings, and they, feeling too confident. This is the game that can be very dangerous for him. Very dangerous. Um, I keep saying it, but it really is. Again, it's the second half of a two-leg road trip. You just came back from the West Coast. You have to go on the road to Dallas. You're coming off a big win. I just wonder, is this team going to be ready to play? You can say team that's talented, obviously, but they have really good pieces here. Again, you have CeeDee Lamb, who concerns me. You know, Parker Parsons is a really good player. I know a lot of folks clown on that. A lot of folks cringe at that, especially CeeDee Lamb take. I don't care. CeeDee Lamb's a really good player. He's really good. And of course, Dallas has had a history of having really good receivers there. You know, Michael Irvin, Dez. Again, I'm picking the Bucs to win this game, but there is a path. There is a path for Dallas to win this game. I think a lot of it's going to come from can the Bucs secondary hold up? It's been injured. They've had some guys out. You know, last week's receiver room is not the best, and they're going against even a little bit more better room. Dallas, especially with 88 Lamb, they're going to have their hands full. They are going to have their hands full. I think the offensive line for Tampa have their hands full. Michael Parsons, who's the best, probably overall best defensive player they've had to face all year. I think so. So I think Tampa's going to win the game, but it's going to be cover doesn't necessarily mean they're going by like 50, but I do believe they will win like above the spread. So it'll be like 4, 5, 6 points or whatever. So I do expect it'll be a close game, probably more low scoring, if I had to guess. Not like a game in the 30s, probably more in the 20s or whatnot, but this could be a fun game here. Sunday Night Football, I will be watching and listening. This could be interesting. Again, Tampa has to continue to win. They cannot get into a battle with the Falcons, because at that point the Falcons have head-to-head, and they will be honored. Obviously, be honored, and they'll win the division. So, as a Tampa fan, but I hope you guys continue to win. I hope we continue to win, because if we don't, or if the team doesn't, they will not be in the playoffs. Because the Falcons have the head-to-head, and of course, the NFL has to honor that. So they will win the division because of that, and Tampa will just have to hope a playoff wildcard spot is available for them. And if not, then this will be a disappointing season for him, even though a lot of good things have happened this year. So, and that's the show. Like I said, I'll be recording some evergreen content tomorrow because we have Christmas next week, and we won't be able to do a show until probably the end of New Year's. So it'll be right around, actually, pretty close to the playoff games, which is the week after New Year's, I believe, if I look at the bracket again. So the playoff game is on December 9th, 10th. So that is well into the semester, too. So that's, wow. Yeah, that's well into the first semester here. So how about that? But, yeah, we'll be doing breakdowns for those games, probably more likely. I mean, there's a break. Usually there's a little break there. At least we can do breakdowns for those games. We'll be back in normal schedule. But, a very busy time of the year here. Again, usually we do 2 shows a week. Next week, not so much. We'll have some videos hopefully ready for you guys. If not, then I guess they'll see me after Christmas. So, in lieu of that, to conclude the show, again, thank you for tuning in. Again, make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. All the typical boilerplate stuff. Until sometime next year in January, probably after New Year's, and before I go on to the Saints Buccaneers game, when I go down for that. Have a great Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year. Enjoy your long break. Enjoy the playoff games. I think starting tomorrow, this weekend, as much as I don't like the format, as much as I have issues with like all the good stuff, I think it will be a spectacle. I'm very excited. A lot of nervousness, a lot of toxicity potentially with some of the results. I'll be watching. I'll be listening. Again, have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays, whatever you celebrate. If you're not, don't celebrate Christmas. Enjoy. Happy New Year, and just enjoy yourself. Have fun out there, and we will see you guys after the New Year. Take care, guys.